well. Today we're going to be talking about Tennessee's 7-game SEC win streak. As soon as I say sell on a team, they get hot. So Rick Barnes should want me to do that every year in November. Tennessee on a roll right now. They're actually playing themselves into the SEC title race. Maybe we'll discuss that. We'll look at bracket projections and everything else. Our VFL and our former Vol coach are going to talk about things that Tennessee needs to keep up and they need to patch up down the stretch. And then we got plenty of football. We're going to talk spring game because, well, is there going to be a spring game? What will the spring game be like? Would they miss anything if they don't do a spring game? A lot of stuff to discuss today. Let's get right into it. This first segment of our program is brought to you by our friends at the Garza Law Firm. You know, if you need something done, you go to the local expert. In whatever field you need something done, you go to the local guy. You turn to the people who know the local system, who know the local ins and outs. And that's just what you should do if and when you need an attorney. And where should you turn? Marcos Garza and the Garza Law Firm. They are that. They are local, proven, right here in East Tennessee. A lot of ads are running. Boy, I see them every afternoon. I watch some of these syndicated programs about 7 o'clock every night, and so many ads from groups that pretend they're in Knoxville and they're actually out of Birmingham or Memphis. Go with a local attorney when you need one. Go with Marcos Garza. The Garza Law Firm, garzalaw.com. Let's welcome in the first wave of panelists today. Former Vol Isaiah Victor. Isaiah, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Right there, Mark Pankratz. Now, Mark, of course, played Division I basketball at Milwaukee under Bruce Pearl, came here and coached under Bruce Pearl, coached under Conzo Martin. We appreciate your insights always.
I think I was in high school when you started the show 20 years ago.
Well,
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Mark. This is Mark's last appearance on the show. Right down there we have Jimmy Himes from 99.1 The Sports Animal. Thanks for being here, Jimmy.
And I was in college.
No, I don't. I know better than that. And right down there we got Chuck Cavaleris, who was just finishing the Civil War when we started our show. Chuck, a longtime sports writer in this community, and you've seen him, heard him everywhere. He usually wears a sandwich board marching down Gay Street when he doesn't have any other outlet to go to. Chuck, thanks for being here.
Great to be here.
Okay, let's get into this thing. Tennessee held off Vanderbilt yesterday. It looked like it was going to be a blowout. Give Vandy credit. Scottie Pippen Jr. and the Commodores came back, fought hard, but Tennessee, Kennedy Chandler included, put things out. They delivered a knockout blow, won at 73-64. It was Tennessee's 10th straight win over the Commodores, which you think of all the years, especially you go back to the Kevin Stallings years when it was a tough place to play and a tough team it was a tough out for Tennessee. 10 straight wins, that's nothing to sneeze at over Vanderbilt. 7th straight win in SEC play, as I said earlier, and it kept Tennessee unbeaten at home this year. So a lot of good positive numbers with this team at this point. On top of that, Tennessee went down to Mississippi State earlier this week, a team that hadn't lost in the SEC at home. They get a gritty, tough road win right after they lost. You know, last Sunday we said that Rick Barnes was talking about Kamwa and said, that doesn't look bad to me. Done. He's done. And they go down there and win just getting that news. I thought that one showed me, you go back to what they look like at LSU, and we're questioning their toughness. That showed some toughness to go to Starkville and pull that game out. Gentlemen, I'll start with you, Isaiah. Your thoughts on the week that was for Tennessee basketball.
Yeah, I thought it was a huge week for the team. Definitely a road win in the SEC. Anyone is great, and Mississippi State hadn't lost at home. Pretty tough place to play at the hump, and you can tell they were a good defensive team, and we took their best blow, and you know, like you said, without Kamwa, and everybody stepped up, and it's just a total team effort, man. And so I'm happy to see what we saw.
This team seems to be, I mean, obviously you win 7 in a row in the league. It's pretty clear to say that they found something, but it doesn't just seem like the shots are falling. They seem to be gelling a little bit. Mark, are they finding their roles better?
I think so. I think that you're seeing that culture kind of take place. You know, when you got a guy like Olivia that goes out and other guys can step up like Adu, Brandon Huntley Hatfield in the starting role. You've got guys that are stepping their game up. And ball movement, when that ball is moving, guys are feeling more involved in the game, which then the next time the ball comes around, they're more prepared to make jump shots. And so the team has taken a step up, and it is a good win at any time you can win on the road against Mississippi State. And a Vanderbilt team that has vastly improved since the start of the season. Tennessee showed that they were the better team and the better programs a lot because of what Barnes does to continue to recruit really good players.
Jimmy, go ahead, Jimmy.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think it's a coincidence that this team has started to play better as Josiah Jordan James has played better. He's been in double figures scoring most of the time. He is a very well-rounded player. He didn't play that well last night necessarily as far as shooting, but he gave him 10 rebounds. He also had 9 out of 10 free throws. But I really think as he plays well, it looks like this Tennessee team plays well too. And I think his emergence and being more consistent, I think, has helped this team.
Yeah, and I think his teammates have confidence in him, and he said that repeatedly. So then when he does get going, boy, it's a big boost. And John, Mississippi State, you got out to 14-2 start at that game. You looked as good as just about any team out there to me, especially on the road. But then with 4 minutes to go, it's tied at 61, and what's Tennessee had trouble doing sometimes, closing it out. Well, you outscored them 11-2 down the stretch. So, and then it was a short turnaround, really. They didn't get back till like 4:30 in the morning. Don't have much time to get ready for Vanderbilt. I thought Vanderbilt, did they leave their post players in Nashville? I mean, they got nothing to me from the post. But Tennessee, you lead by 19, it gets cut to 1, you find a way to get the win, and that's really all that matters right now.
You mentioned, finding a way to put an opponent down. They've been scoring the basketball in the parlance of our time. This offense has turned it around to where it was they would grit you down on defense, but they just couldn't deliver a knockout punch. Now, the last 4 games, they have averaged 79 points a game, okay? The previous 9 games, they averaged 65 points a game.
Yeah.
That's a 14-point jump, and then we're talking a 4-game stretch, too. That's not like you had one big game. That is a pretty big turnaround for a team that struggled on offense and was wildly inconsistent for the most part of this year. I'm still not ready to say, yes, it's fixed, but 65 points over a 9-game stretch, 79 points over the next 4, that's impressive to me.
Well, and I think Josiah Jordan-James, the last 7 games he's averaged 13.5 points per game. Prior to that, he was averaging about 6. Yeah. So it's a big difference. And what he does to the offense and open it up, I think also Barnes has adjusted lineups. He's gone more often with that 4-guard lineup, putting Josiah at the 4, which opens up the floor for Chandler and Zakai Ziegler to get up and down the court and get into spaces. We could talk about shooting, but I think it's some of the adjustments that Barnes has made and Josiah hanging in there and making shots now.
I think their passing also has been crisper, and with that, I think they're getting better shots.
Yeah, especially some of the inside passes where
Isaiah, I'll throw this to you. Brandon Huntley Hatfield has started the last 2 games since the injury to Kamwa. Rick Barnes said the reason was he had players on the team that came to him and said this is the way we want it to be. Now, Huntley Hatfield probably hasn't responded the way that they would like, but Barnes was pleased, though, that his team was taking ownership at that level. Talk to me about that. Why is that a good thing for your team to come in and say, Coach, we want X?
Yeah, that's rapport. That means the team has a good rapport with each other, which is the single most important thing in my opinion. When you like each other, you have a brotherhood. That's their brother. They know he's kind of down. They know he's a McDonald's All-American. He had lofty expectations coming in. Hadn't quite meted them yet. Not even really playing a lot. Some games playing 4 or 5 minutes, So they wanted to pick him up, and they know he's capable at the same time. So I think it speaks volumes, and that's what I like the most about this team. Even after the Mississippi State game, the first guy, you see him calling Kamwa
after the game
and telling him, hey, this is for you, brother. And you see Chandler going out of the game, Ziegler playing the end of one game, they win. You see Chandler over there cheering. It could be a time where they could pout.
That's one thing about Chandler. Wasn't he scoreless with like 4 minutes to go in the game?
Yeah.
And it didn't seem to me like he was pressing things, which is easy to do.
Yeah.
And then he had 3 buckets in a row, kind of got denied a couple of times. But that, to me, that was a big factor in that. Plus, Tennessee had a big rebounding edge. Whenever you can out-rebound them like that, I think it was, 41-27? And then 15 of those on offense. But there's some of these teams coming up, I don't know if you can count on having that kind of edge in rebounding.
Mark, I'll let you wrap it up. We need to be kind of quick.
The piece of the rapport thing, I think one was from a coaching standpoint, yes, you can start Brandon Huntley Hatfield because your teammates want you, but now here's the accountability, the expectation. So I love that as a coach. The other thing, it's not about who starts, it's about who finishes.
Right.
And so at the end of the game, you don't see him in there, but you're seeing the big that's playing the best as Fulkerson was in there late last night.
I'll tell you what, let's get to that. I think that's going to be on your list. When we come back on the Sports Source, I've asked our experts here. Isaiah's going to tell you 3 things that Tennessee needs to keep it up with, 3 things they're doing well they need to keep it up with. Mark's going to talk about a couple of things they need to patch it up still as we head toward tournament time. Only 6 regular season games to go as Tennessee on the edge of an SEC title race. I don't know if they're in it yet, but there's a race. They're on the edge of it. Let's discuss all that next. Come on back on the Sports Source.